Dear students, welcome to our class on how seasons are formed. As the earth spins on its axis, the day and night are produced. It also moves around the sun in an elliptical manner, that is, elongated circle, uh, elliptical circuit, elliptical orbit, in other words, that requires about 365 1/4 days to complete. The Earth's spin axis is tilted with respect to its orbital plane. This is what that causes the seasons. Once again, I would like to impress upon you that the Earth's spin axis is tilted with respect to its orbital plane. This causes the seasons. Now, how many seasons are there in an year? In an year, there are 4 seasons. A season, by definition, is a period of year that is distinguished by special climatic conditions. The 4 seasons are, we normally start with spring, then summer, fall, winter. Of course, they follow one another regularly. Once again, spring, summer, fall, and winter. Now, each season has its own solar radiation, in other words, light, temperature, and weather patterns that repeat yearly. Now, in the northern hemisphere, winter begins on December 21st or 22nd. Uh, this is the winter solstice, we call it as. On that day, okay, the year with the shortest period of daylight. In a year, shortest period of daylight is 21st oblique 22nd December. This is what we call it as the winter solstice. Now you are seeing a bird flying during the almost winter period here. Now the summer begins on June 20th or 21st. This is what we call it as the summer solstice, which has most daylight of any day in a year. Most daylight of any day in a year means, longest day length. The winter solstice is the shortest period of daylight or shortest period of day length. Now, coming to spring and fall, okay? Fall, we also call it as autumn. Spring and fall begin on equinoxes, days that have equal amounts of daylight and darkness. The spring, we also call it as vernal. Spring equinox or vernal equinox falls on March 20th or 21st, and the autumnal equinox falls on spring equinox vernal. Autumn equinox it falls on September 22nd or 23rd. Now, the seasons in the northern hemisphere are the opposite of those in the southern hemisphere. Say, for example, Argentina, Australia, winter begins in June. In okay, southern in northern hemisphere, the winter begins, as I said earlier, say around December 21st. Okay, now the seasons occur because the Earth is tilted on its axis relative to its original plane. Once again, I would like to just repeat for your academic interest is that the seasons on the Earth occur because Earth is tilted on its axis relative to its orbital plane. Earth's axis is an invisible line that runs through its center from the pole to pole. Okay, now that is the axis. Earth rotates around its own axis, and in June, when northern hemisphere is tilted towards the sun. Again, I repeat it twice this statement. In June, when northern hemisphere is tilted towards the sun. In June, when northern hemisphere is tilted towards the sun, that means source of heat, okay, source of energy. The sun's rays hit the northern hemisphere for a greater part of the day than in winter. That means it gets more hours of daylight in, okay, June, in June. So that's what we call it as the, okay, in the northern hemisphere, more energy is what. In December, what happens? Exactly reverse. When the northern hemisphere is tilted away, then the northern hemisphere is tilted away. Again, I repeat, in December, when the northern hemisphere is tilted away from the sun with fewer hours of daylight, fewer hours of energy, fewer hours of daylight. So this is winter, that is summer. This is winter, that is summer. Again, for your academic interest, I would like to say that Earth rotates around itself and it also moves around the sun. There is a misconception, general conception that because the Earth is all oblong in shape or elliptical in shape, and the axis on which it is moving on its own. Now, whenever the Earth goes close to the sun, it is summer. Whenever it goes away from the sun, it is winter. No, no, it's not the correct answer. It never, never, never. It is just because of the tilting. Okay, the seasons are caused because of the Earth's spin axis is tilted with respect to its orbital plane. When it is tilted, okay, in the northern hemisphere, when it is tilted towards the sun's rays hit for a greater part of the day and summer starts. Exactly reverse happens in December when the northern hemisphere is tilted away from the sun. The winter begins. That means with fewer hours of daylight. Now, the seasons have an enormous influence on agriculture. See, the season has enormous influence on agriculture. So, vegetation, growth, reproductive phase, vegetative phase, reproductive phase, mature, all are changing. Winter typically has cold weather, little daylight, and limited plant growth. Now, in spring, what exactly happens? Plant sprout, tree leaves unfurl, and flowers blossom in spring. Now, when it is summer, the summer is the warmest time of the year and has the most daylight and most of the vegetation grow quickly. In autumn, the temperature drops and many trees lose their leaves. The four-season year is typical only in the mid-latitudes, places near the equator experience, of course, the seasons, but slightly differing. But the polar regions experience seasonal variation, very, very typical seasonal variations. Once again, I would like to impress upon you that Earth's tilted axis causes the seasons. I repeat it twice again. Earth's tilted axis causes seasons. Earth's tilted axis causes seasons, not when Earth goes close to the sun. Earth goes aphelion, perihelion. When Earth goes close to the sun. When Earth goes away from the sun. Close to the sun, summer, away from the sun is winter. No, no, no. Now, throughout the year, the different parts of the earth receive the sun's most direct sun rays. Sun's most direct sun rays are received in the month of June, say around 20th and 21st. Okay, summer, we call it as the sun's rays in the northern hemisphere when tilt when the earth is tilted towards the sun's rays hit directly. So there you find the summer. Now exactly reverse in December when in the northern hemisphere, okay, it is tilted away from the sun. Okay, the fewer hours of sunlight. So when northern pole tilts towards the sun, it is summer. When south pole tilts towards the sun, it is winter in the northern hemisphere. Thanking you for your very patient hearing.